Iowa voters are very lucky.
Tonight, we will see the first result in the 2020 presidential race when Iowa voters make their voices heard at caucuses across the state. Good morning, everyone. It's 6:30. I'm Dustin Lukey. Now, unlike in Minnesota and Wisconsin, where only President Trump is set to appear on the GOP ballot, Iowa Republicans will have a chance to vote for all three of the candidates in that party's race at their caucus. Meanwhile, Democrats have more than 10 to choose from in a process that might be a little foreign to those used to voting privately. So at tonight's caucus meetings across the state, Democrats will gather to form what are known as preference groups, literally standing up for their candidate with other supporters. And after deciding which groups are viable, meaning they have more than about 15% support, there's a round of lobbying where the voters themselves try to convince others to support their candidate. Then a second alignment round where the heads are counted and the precincts report their final results. And this unusual process is partly why Iowa will always try to go first. For some of the other reasons why, we went back to class for a crash course on all things caucus.
How hard it is to accept the truth.
It starts with a history lesson, a chaotic scene of violence at the 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Because of the politically charged times, most states decide they want to move away from caucus meetings to determine presidential candidates, except for Iowa, which utilizes a four-stage caucus system ranging from precinct to state.
This four-step process took so long. They needed a month between each of those steps. And so they went first just for logistic reasons. And after that election in 1972, when they realized, hey, this was a good idea. Like, we got media attention, people around the country are caring what Iowa voters think.
Carly Hayden Foster, who literally teaches a class at Luther College called Iowa Caucuses, says because of all that attention, voters in Iowa do tend to be more engaged. But she adds that Iowa isn't necessarily a good demographic representation of the U.S. electorate.
There's a social dynamic to the Iowa caucuses too, right?
And not everyone is necessarily on board with such a public process.
Neighbors are going to see how their neighbors are voting. If you happen to live in the same precinct with your teachers or with your boss, like, other people are going to know how you voted.
Still, others with Midwest sensibilities and more moderate political views might also feel a little left out in the cold.
If an independent really wanted to participate, they could. They would just have to pick a party, and they would have to register with the party. And party registration is a public thing.
Yeah.
Like, you go on, you're officially on record as being a member of the Democratic Party or a member of the Republican Party.
But despite the drawbacks,
you get the chance to meet and to hear directly from a lot of candidates. Iowa voters are very lucky.
Because the nation pays attention, and Iowa's status pays dividends.
Restaurants and businesses and hotels were happy with the extra attention, and so they have decided to keep it ever since.
And taking a look at that economic impact, a 2008 study by David Swenson, who's an associate scientist of economics at Iowa State University, found a modest yet significant impact to the overall state's economy due to the caucuses. But in his conclusion of that paper, he called the free media exposure, quote, as the ad says, priceless.